Hello, everyone. Today we will have great news about Prince Harry's appearance near the Polish food truck, about the prince's return to the UK, about King Charles's meringue talk with Harry, as well as about Meghan Markle's disastrous year. Interesting things lie ahead, but now I suggest starting with the insiders from Joss Stone.
Joss Stone says her recent conversation with Prince Harry hinted that he might move back to the UK someday. The singer said Harry was genuinely interested in her recent move back to the UK, and the conversation left her thinking maybe Harry will move back too. That would be nice. Usually, royal insider intel comes courtesy of anonymous sources close to the firm, but today, royal fans are getting some on-the-record gossip from the inner circle thanks to singer Joss Stone, whose friendship with Prince Harry dates back 20 years. The singer and royal had a chance to catch up at the Well Child Awards, where Stone says they chatted about parenthood and the benefits of life in the UK. The 38-year-old singer, who met Harry in 2005 at a fundraiser for his father's charity, then known as the Prince's Trust, and was one of the guests in attendance at his 2018 royal wedding to Meghan Markle, told Hello that it was really sweet to see her old friend after all these years at the event, which Harry attended during his trip back to the UK earlier this month. At the event, Stone revealed that Harry had the opportunity to meet her newborn daughter, Nalima, which kicked off a conversation about parenting.
While Joss Stone shares his insiders, I remind you that there is very exciting news ahead.
He joked about me having 4 children, saying it's too many, or maybe it wasn't a joke, Stone shared. The singer then revealed that Harry proceeded to shift the focus of the conversation, asking about her family's recent move back to the UK after living in the United States. He also asked about how we were settling back in and was genuinely interested in our move home. He's just very warm and down to earth, as always, she explained, before adding hopefully that the conversation seemed to hint that the royal could be considering a similar move for his own family in the future. Maybe Harry will move back too. That would be nice. It may be more than just wishful thinking on Stone's part. She says she and Harry also discussed some of the specific benefits of raising children in the UK during their catch-up chat. He was saying how wonderful the schools are here and how important community is for children, she added. It was nice to share that with him because it's exactly why we felt drawn to come back, for the kids to grow up surrounded by family, friends, and a strong sense of belonging, and most importantly, in a safe environment. Although Harry has previously stated that he wouldn't feel comfortable bringing his children to the UK due to safety concerns, he's also been clear that the idea of not spending time with them in the UK isn't one he likes. I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point, he told the BBC in May. I miss the UK, I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. I think that it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show my children my homeland. More recently, however, Harry has expressed that bringing his family back to the UK, at least for visits, is something he's becoming more open to. After his one-on-one meeting with King Charles earlier this month, Harry told The Guardian that the meeting with his father had definitely brought the possibility of bringing his family to UK for visits closer.
Exclusive. Meghan Markle will remember 2025 as her Annus Horribilis, RadarOnline.com can reveal. Experts and insiders claim she will hate the last 12 months by Christmas, as her business ventures are faltering, her Netflix future uncertain, and Prince Harry is being increasingly drawn back toward the royal fold. Back to royal life? The Duchess of Sussex, who turned 44 in August, has spent the past year juggling her lifestyle brand as ever, a Netflix cooking series with Love, Meghan, and her new podcast Confessions of a Female Founder. But critics argue none of these efforts has delivered the success she hoped for, leaving her struggling to carve out a lasting role beyond the monarchy. Royal expert Hugo Vickers said, "As she looks back over the past year, I can imagine she's pretty depressed. She started off a lot of things and none of them have come to any great fruition. Full marks to her for fully reinventing herself and coming up with new ideas, but it's not working very well." A senior industry source said the Netflix contract was supposed to cement them as global players, but Harry's projects have flopped and Meghan's show barely registered. That has left the streamer pulling the plug, which is a humiliation. It also feeds into the sense that Harry could be tempted to step back towards his family, while Meghan doubles down on Hollywood. Meghan's marketing trick? Markle's As Ever brand has drawn attention for its carefully staged Instagram launches of jam, honey, and rosé wine, but insiders argue the sold-out labels on the products are misleading. It's simply a marketing ploy, said one former staffer. A small batch is released, it goes quickly, and then Meghan claims it's a runaway success. But there's no evidence of a sustainable brand here. Another royal watcher hit out. She wants to be the next Gwyneth Paltrow, but instead of goop, she's left with gimmicks. Every project feels shallow, and it doesn't help that she tags her children in As Ever posts. That only fuels accusations she is using Archie and Little Bit for PR. The Netflix cooking show with Love Meghan attracted only 5.3 million global views and was ranked 338th in Netflix's recent engagement report. Viewers mocked its recipes as Pinterest food dressed up with PR. Marketing expert Nick Eady said, Meghan obviously is trying really hard to establish herself in a big way, and associating herself with other female founders was kind of a good idea. But the issue is that actually the As Ever brand hasn't really gone particularly far, so she can't really say that she's a particularly great female founder. Vickers also warned, I don't think she's been at all successful, quite honestly. Children will grow up, and I imagine they will be quite resentful at the way in which they've been used. Prince Harry always invariably seems to pop up at the end to give credence to her, to show that he's on side with her. It's all rather depressing. Another insider added, for Meghan, this was meant to be the year she proved she could thrive outside the royal machine. Instead, she is ending it isolated in California, her project struggling, and whispers growing that Harry might see his future once again with his family, not hers. It is, in the famous words of the late Queen, going to be her annus horribilis, and it could get worse before Christmas if she and Harry split, which is looking increasingly more likely given he is forging new bonds with the royal family again.
Prince Harry turns up at Polish burger truck and stuns staff with his order, but only after someone told them who he was. Prince Harry stopped off in a Polish village on the border with Ukraine for a portion of chips, leaving the food truck staff stunned once they realized who he was. The Duke of Sussex made a quick pit stop at a car park late on September 11th in his last hours before crossing into Ukraine to support the war wounded. The prince made a surprise trip to Kiev on Friday by invitation from Superhumans, a charity providing the injured with prosthetic limbs and rehabilitation. Ella Krupa, who runs the Food Track burger van near the border, said staff did not even recognize the prince and shared her own disbelief. Ella's cousin, Damian Drozdov, said the waitress was busy cleaning, so even she did not immediately notice who was standing at the table. Nobody took selfies or asked for autographs, they said. He was the most famous customer we didn't know we had, the owners told Polish outlet Fact. Arriving just before closing, a colleague ordered, in English, a portion of chips for the prince without sauce and a small beer for someone on the team, the outlet reports. Ella said an employee was on shift to greet the Duke, not me, and that she only found out about it when she later saw the story in the papers. My friend was shocked. What do you mean, a prince? He only ordered fries, she said. If the prince ever visits us again, we'll treat him to a burger or a casserole. We believe he'll come back because our customers keep coming back. Prince Harry was said to have waited off to the side quietly for the order before the crew got into their cars and headed for Kiev. The Duke of Sussex arrived in Kiev on an overnight sleeper train a day later in his first visit to the capital. There, he took part in a panel discussion at Kiev's National Museum of the History of Ukraine in the Second World War and spoke to fellow war veterans leaving military service while promoting the work of his Invictus Games Foundation. You will feel lost at times, like you lack purpose, he said, telling returning troops not to stay silent. Open up to your friends and family because in doing so, you give them permission to do the same. In Ukraine, the prince received a glowing reception. Olga Rudnieva, founder and CEO of the Superhumans Trauma Center in Lviv, which has worked with Invictus, told The Guardian, ordinary people know who he is. We honestly didn't know he'd become such a celebrity. I think Prince Harry coming here is a symbol of victory and power. People look at him and his military experience and they see he is not afraid to come to Ukraine. It is so important that he came. The prince told the outlet that his work for Invictus saved him after a 10-year career in the British Army. Seeing people with prosthetics and life-changing injuries is going to be the norm in Ukraine for the coming decades. Nobody should feel embarrassed or ashamed about their disabilities. It's about flipping from sympathy to admiration and respect.
Unlikely royal begs King Charles to make peace with Prince Harry despite William feud. One particular royal has long been begging King Charles to repair relations with his younger son, Prince Harry, and it is not who you might expect to get themselves involved.
During Prince Harry's recent visit back to the UK, he finally reunited with his father, King Charles. It had been the subject of much speculation in the weeks leading up to the Duke of Sussex's trip, whether the father and son would finally begin the process of reconciling after enduring an icy and strained relationship for some years. The last time the pair had been together was shortly after the monarch was diagnosed with cancer, when Harry immediately jumped on a plane and came to London to see his father. In the 19 months since then, they had spent no time in person together, even when Harry had been in the country. Tensions have been widely acknowledged on both sides for some time. Since Harry stepped back from royal life and built a new home for himself and his family in California, he has not been shy about candidly opening up about his version of events, from bombshell interviews to his memoir Spare and Netflix documentary. However, all along, a royal author has claimed one unexpected royal has been encouraging King Charles to make peace with Harry despite the ongoing feud between the Duke of Sussex and his elder brother, Prince William. Read more, Palace forced to issue statement on claims Trump's staff had a row with King's chefs. Read more, Prince William's plans to freeze Andrew out when he becomes king. Royal author Omid Scobie wrote in his book Endgame that the unlikely royal who had been encouraging mending the rift was none other than Prince Edward, Charles's youngest brother. In the approach to the publication of Harry's memoir Spare in January 2023, the Duke tentatively reached out to his father over Christmas, with Charles himself not doing so. The father and son shared some light chat, the author wrote, but in the run-up to the memoir's publication, the royals were hesitant to get too deep with Harry, anxious about what might be in it and what might be said in interviews promoting it. After it was released and divulged a no-holds-barred look at the internal dysfunction of the House of Windsor, at least from Harry's perspective, Prince Edward felt it was right that Charles tackle his son's grievances head-on. Prince Edward was one of the few who felt Charles should properly speak with his son and tried to move on, Scobie wrote. Prince Edward, who inherited his father's title of Duke of Edinburgh when Charles took the throne, is one of the only royals to comment publicly on the strained relationship with the Sussexes. Back in 2021, he told CNN the breakdown in relations was very sad and expressed some sympathy for the couple's plight. Listen, weirdly, we've all been there before. We've all had excessive intrusion and attention in our lives, and we've all dealt with it in slightly different ways. And listen, we wish them the very best of luck. It's a really hard decision. It's difficult for everyone, but that's families for you, he added. In another interview, the unexpected peacemaker admitted that he generally tries to stay out of it. I stay way out of it. It's much the safest place to be.